Okay, this here is the garden where I pulled up the weeds and grass, and it's about a week's worth of work turning this. I'm really not going to turn it anymore. I'd say I've gone down about 2 to 3 to 4 inches. Some people go down a few feet. On top of this is going to go some manure that I am going to wheelbarrow over from the neighbors. This is quinoa seed. I mentioned in a couple other videos that I was interested in growing quinoa here. This particular variety of quinoa was actually grown in the San Luis Valley, which is about an hour from here. Whether or not it would actually grow in this part of Colorado that's not as high as the San Luis Valley, I don't know. But that's something that I'm going to find out. So right now, basically just evenly spreading this out. These seeds were given to me by a friend who actually was washing my car for me during the time I came back to Portland. When I told him I want to grow some quinoa, they just happened to have 1 pound of quinoa from that particular farm, White Mountain Farm, in Moscow, Colorado. So there's not a lot of farms, commercial farms, that actually have quinoa in Colorado, so having the actual seed from the region it's going to be grown in, of course farmers know that. That's not really easy to access, so this is something the birds are going to go after because the protective coating's been washed off, but it'll basically be a test. I'm also going to put some over here, basically going to spread it out. And then I'm going to save a little for a neighbor friend that expressed a little interest in he and his wife having some of this quinoa seed. So I'm going to stop pretty soon. I'm trying to be even here. There isn't a hose that leads out to the garden, so I'm going to have to maybe bring out a water container and get like a special like water or something like that. Okay, I would say that this is about finished. I looked on YouTube for information on growing quinoa in general. Not a lot of quality videos out there. This definitely is not an instructional video on quinoa, but in those that are discussing it, they really should show the beginning, the middle, and the after, the preparation, a little information about the soil, how much water it needs. What I was told by the farmer at Moscow that actually met me for coffee at Malagos in Alamosa, I volunteered to put in some hours. He said he had enough help. But he said that the first week needs a lot of water, and I think the second phase where it needs a lot of water is probably during the harvesting or another phase of its growth. But that's the advice I was given. Now this is a rake, and now I'm going to move it. So I'm going to be doing a lot of watering tonight. We haven't had a lot of rain in recent days. We're going to have a lot more sunnier days. So this is the perfect time to put it in. You need to put it in between May and June. The San Luis Valley of south central Colorado is the only part of Colorado, or the North America that is, where quinoa has been successfully grown on a commercial level, though a few people may have had some things grow in their garden, but quinoa for the most part is imported in from Bolivia and Peru. It's a staple, it has all 9 essential amino acids, so it's the ultimate survival food. This is what I would rate number 1. And there's a reason why this is expensive and becoming more expensive in the grocery stores. In Portland, I saw it as high as $10 a pound. Unfortunately, it's very expensive for the people that actually grow this in Peru and Bolivia. So they have really been suffering from all the quinoa being imported in the United States, like a lot of other things, like acai berries and other things that become really popular, and everybody wants them all at once. So the San Luis Valley, there's a lot of room there. There's a lot of open fields, not a lot of water. Quinoa doesn't need a ton of water, except, as I was told by that farmer, in that initial growth phase and towards the completion of it. But there are days and periods where you don't have to be watering it. It doesn't need to be grown in perfect soil, and it grows like a weed. Quinoa, by the way, is a seed. So it's really something to investigate, especially for those that may be watching this video from the San Luis Valley. To go out and get some seeds and spread them out into a field. And I'm convinced, I'm really convinced at this point, that if you have enough seed and you have just enough water and you cultivate the land, that you can have enough food that can feed enough people, be self-sufficient. And there's not a lot of crops that can grow on limited water in the San Luis Valley. But we do know that things grow. We do know that there's sagebrush out there. We do know that other things grow. So the goal is to cultivate land so over time it gets used to growing quinoa on its own on an annual basis with basic maintenance. That's kind of a vision that I have for the future. But with that, we will bring this video to a close.